Assemblymember Tangipa, welcome back to the show.
It is always great to join you.
So what prompted you to want to file this lawsuit and be a part of it against Proposition 50?
Well, really, what we saw through the legislative process when they put this on the ballot was in 4 days, we were able to move mountains for something that I believe nobody was ever asking for here in the state of California, realistically. And when you're moving and jamming through the process as fast as they did, they're going to make mistakes. And I had actually warned them that if they were doing this and they were doing so as sloppily as they were, they're going to have to face potential challenges. And we believe that they have violated the Constitution. They used race as a justifiable means for what they really wanted, and that was a political gerrymander. But there are very strict guidelines that if you are going to use race as a justification for why you decided to redistrict, you have to follow the Voter Rights Act. You have to make sure that you're taking into account all of the necessary problems and remedies and why it's necessary to even race-based redistrict in the first place. And we don't believe that they did any of that. I know they didn't do a lot of that because even in the legislation itself, there's a portion where it says the Assembly and the Senate Elections Committee prepared these maps. Well, that is a lie. Because we know, as Paul Mitchell had stated himself, as you had him on your show, he said that he drew the maps. So if they were going to lie both on who prepared the maps, if they lied on the fiscal impact that was given out to the voters, we were going to make sure that we bring accountability back to California.
And just to take a step back here, as you just mentioned, your lawsuit alleges California leaders violated the Voting Rights Act by giving Latinos specifically an advantage over other racial groups in those new maps. But the lawsuit against Texas's maps also alleged Voting Rights Act violations, but for suppressing the vote of some racial groups. How confident are you with the Supreme Court allowing Texas to keep its maps and justices noting that states, including California, are basically just trying to give their dominant political party the upper hand here? How confident are you that this lawsuit really goes anywhere?
Well, so this lawsuit is actually a lot closer to the lawsuit that Texas faced in 2021 and that Louisiana had faced in 2021 as well, talking about how these districts really do suppress other minority groups. And that's exactly what we're saying, is if the state of California and the people who drew the maps decided to use the Voter Rights Act to justify how they drew these districts, they need to make sure that they have all of the justifiable reasons. We do not believe they had that. If you look at the state of California, we have a Latino and a Hispanic larger population. They are actually the largest ethnic group in the state of California. And yet when Paul Mitchell put out these maps, he said the first thing he did was draw more racially drawn Latino districts. Well, if Latinos do make up the majority or the plurality in this state, then why do they need more VRA-style districts? And does that constitute a barrier to other minority groups? We believe it does. But not only that, if you look at the Jingles case and the standard that was created under Jingles in 1986, there has to be an ethnic barrier, too, that justifies the reason why you race-based redistrict. Well, and this is a big reason why I decided to bring this lawsuit, is I represent one of the widest districts here in the state of California. I am Polynesian. I am the first Polynesian ever elected to the state legislature here in California. So it proves that even in white majority districts here, there is not an ethnic barrier for drawing VRA districts. So when Paul Mitchell and the other groups in the legislature got together, said that they were going to use race to justify their gerrymandering, well, therefore, they violated the Constitution. So again, Texas's maps are significantly different, especially the new ones from 2025, because Texas never came out and said that we were drawing VRA districts. Texas came out entirely and said that we are drawing political districts. That is fundamentally different than what the words that came out of the people who supported Prop 50.
Okay, so I mean, President Donald Trump, though, in the process of all of this, going back to when Prop 50 was being put together and on the ballot, I mean, the president didn't do much to fight it. He did enable this redistricting battle across the country that could end up benefiting Republicans overall, but potentially sacrificing Republican seats in California in the process. I mean, do California Republicans like yourself feel supported by the Trump administration here?
You know, when it comes to me, I really just want to focus on California. I want to focus on the issues that we have here. And I had talked about this a lot on the floor, is that we should set the standard of what the rest of the nation should be doing. Look, I am not for these gerrymandering. I have actually said on the elections committee that I wish Texas wasn't doing it, but I also understood that this entire redistricting war didn't start with Texas. This started with the lawsuits that the same group that is now a defendant on my lawsuit, LULAC, brought to Texas. This whole redistricting war was done by this Elias law firm, which if you go and you read their mission statement, it actually says we are suing to make sure that we can get more Democrats and progressives elected. They're the ones who opened this door in Louisiana in 2021. They're the ones who opened this door in Texas in 2021. And now we here in California are making sure that we hold these same groups to the same standard. And I'm asking every single Californian, it is our job to be better than the rest of the nation. If we here in California want to show people what life should be like, then we should be doing better than other areas. And if others wanted to always bring up, well, what about Texas? What we should be talking about, well, what about Texas's budget? Or what about Texas's housing costs? Or what about Texas's rental costs? Not let's just bring in all the bad stuff. And so when it comes to the president of the United States, it's not up to me to police the president. It's not up to me to worry about them. It's up to me to do my job as a Californian and as an elected official to make California better.
But can you say whether he could have done more to help Republicans who may be at risk of losing their seats, going from 9 seats in Congress to just 4?
For me, again, I think everybody could participate and work in on this. The president has to deal with 49 other states, and they can't worry about California. And so that's one of the areas that, for me, that is my job. That's what I get to focus on. The president gets to focus on 50 states.
So attorneys who filed this lawsuit on your behalf have told us they're pretty confident the Supreme Court is going to have the final say on California's maps. What would you say to those who are wondering, what's the point of this hearing that's happening next week in that lower federal court down in Los Angeles?
Well, it's the first step. You know, and this is we've got to go through the channels. I want to make sure that every legal remedy is exhausted, that we're doing it the right way. Again, when I brought up what the others were doing on the opposite side, is that they just jammed this through in 4 days. They, again, lied, didn't know what they were voted on, didn't know, they admitted that they did not even read the bill and actually just agreed with it, with the concept. I mean, I even had the chair of the elections committee try to stop me from speaking because they were trying to prevent me, that I had more than enough time to review the maps from Friday. But what they didn't even know is that the maps had changed less than 24 hours before that. I didn't have any of the language. So if they were going to jam through that entire process and do it the wrong way, we want to make sure we're doing it the right way. We're going to go to court. We'll have our day in court. And if we need to appeal all the way to the Supreme Court, we're going to do so. But I'm going to make sure that we're going to keep fighting every single step of the way, the right way.
All right. Assemblyman David Tangipa will be watching. We thank you so much for your time.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on.